Which division leaders should we be buying? Which division leaders should we be selling after 3 weeks? We answer that question, plus contenders, pretenders, and much, much more right here on Locked On NFL.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to another edition of Locked On NFL. I'm James Rapien. He is Tony Wiggins. Thank you so much for making us your first listen on a Wednesday edition of Locked On NFL. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow wherever you get your podcast, and shout out to all of our everydayers. And Tony, let's dive into it right now. The Bengals are one of multiple division winners from last year that aren't leading their division this year. And it's time to see who we're buying, who we're selling after 3 weeks. Let's start in the AFC East, because the Miami Dolphins have taken this league by storm, I would say, offensively. 70 points the other day. It could have been more. They're 3-0 in the AFC East. This was considered pre-Aaron Rodgers' injury to be one of the best divisions in football. Do you buy that the Dolphins will finish ahead of the Bills, ahead of the Patriots and Jets in that division?
I do, and it's because they're going to score 30 points easily every game, unless you have a great defense. And that puts the pressure on you to score. I think it changes your game plan, too. When you know a team can score, sometimes you get in a hurry to try to score with them. How many times have we heard when people play the Chiefs, the announcer says, we're not going to beat them kicking field goals, where a field goal is the most logical thing you're supposed to do at that point. But people go, oh, you can't get field goals. You got to score touchdowns. And it starts to affect your thinking that way, and you leave points on the board. And then you lose by 5, and you let 2 field goals go by because you went for it on 4th down. And we see that happen all the time, but they're dynamic. They're fast. I knew that they were going to be super fast, especially when they got Devin A-Chain back. And he looks like the real deal. It just makes you wonder why more teams don't do exactly what they've done. They just put a 4x4 track team out, but not just fast guys who are fast with game speed that also know how to play football. So they have real good football players who just happen to also be really fast guys. So I'm eager to see if someone does what the Patriots did back in the day to the greatest show on turf, and that is just decide that you're going to make them pay for real estate and be real physical. If the rules today will allow that to happen, where you could just go out and just purposely just let it be known that you're banging on everything that's coming around your way, I'm interested to see how that works. I would love to see them against the 49ers. Would absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, I think Miami is legit. I still have questions. It's unfortunate you have questions about health when it comes to this team. And it's not just Tua. Obviously, it starts with Tua. But anytime you're talking about A-Chain, and it's weird. He announced that it's A-Chan after he put up four touchdowns. It's wild. A-Chain's
it can be whatever you want it to be when you play that way.
No doubt. And so he's a smaller back, though. Obviously, Tua is a smaller quarterback. Jalen Waddle missed a game this past week. It didn't matter, but I do wonder about that part, because usually when you're talking about speed, you're talking about a smaller team, and you look at that team, and it is a smaller team at the skill spot. So just something to take into consideration. I certainly wouldn't sleep on the Bills. If I had to make a choice, I would probably still say the Bills win that division, but I certainly see the path for Miami, and they've checked every single box, and there's plenty of reasons to be bullish on them. Let's continue in the AFC. It's a 3-way tie for first place in the AFC North. So I think this one's interesting. Coming into the season, I thought that the North was the best division in football, but the Steelers leading the way, followed by the Ravens and Browns. Tony, I'll rephrase the question just for this division. If you had to pick a division winner in the AFC North today, who would you pick? Because I think you could pick all 4 of these teams and make a case.
I'm still picking the Bengals.
Oh. You surprising me. I thought you were selling your stock.
No. I'm not going to sell my stock that quick, and I might have an ulterior motive for doing this that we'll talk about probably in a few seconds. But I'm not going to sell my stock in this. I actually think that because everyone thought that they were like A+ prime, A-level team, and they come out and right now they're playing like a C- D+ team. I think people can be guilty of right nowism and then just think, okay, these guys just aren't very good. Yes, they are. They're just not playing well right now. They'll figure it out. And they have more than 1 year of proven demonstrated performance. They've done this for like 3 years in a row now, or at least 2 years, where they've been like really, really good. And I can't understand why they aren't really, really good now. And other than the fact that Joe Burrow wasn't playing like Joe Burrow, but I think he is eventually going to play like Joe Burrow, and I think that they're going to get it together. I still like Baltimore. I still like Cleveland. I like Pittsburgh a lot more than I did. They look. I think we made too much of the fact that they got whipsawed in week 1 by the 49ers, who are probably the best team in the league. And then we start thinking that they weren't that good. Pittsburgh is better than people think. James, you muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't really see a hole in this division. I think it's really, really tough, top to bottom. The 4th best team, whoever it ends up being in the cellar, is going to be a really good team. Things I do buy. I buy the Browns defense. I think the Browns defense is really, really legit. Jim Schwartz has them playing at a high level. They certainly have the talent. The Steelers, they are who we thought they were. Question mark at quarterback still. I still wonder about that offense, especially without Deontay Johnson. But that defense is going to keep them in games, win them games. Lamar, man, I was in on Lamar in this offense, and they take a little bit of a step back against the Colts. And let's get to the Colts in just a second. But I do think that that's intriguing, to say the least, how Todd Monken, he's given him more responsibility. I think it could pay off in the long run, but you might take some of your lumps here at times. And it was an ugly offensive performance for the Ravens against the Colts team that finds themselves in the first place spot in the AFC South. And I look at the South. I told you this coming into the year. I didn't think it was going to be that competitive a division. I might be wrong, because I don't want to bet against the Titans at any week, because I think Mike Vrabel's a heck of a coach. The Texans, CJ Stroud is playing well. I think Tank Dell is a real player in this league. They seem to be a bit farther along. Obviously, your Jags came in as the favorites. I would still consider them the favorites, but the Colts, hey man, without Anthony Richardson, you beat Baltimore in Baltimore. That's a heck of a win. I like what I've seen from Shane Steichen's crew.
Yeah, and Gardner Minshew is that guy. And when we always talk about backup quarterbacks, I say, no team's going to win with a backup quarterback. They're not going to win the championship. But when you have a quarterback, you need a guy that you can trust over a 4 or 5 game stretch that'll help you out. And in 5 games, he's going to go 3-2. And that's what Gardner Minshew is. I mean, he's going to do that now. You know what I mean? So everybody's a little bit better than we all thought. The Jaguars, they alarm me just a little bit. And it's probably because I'm too close to it. But this is when I told you that I still believe in the Bengals, this is why I said I had an ulterior motive. It's because I'm going to tell you right now, I still believe in Jacksonville. But I will tell you, they have executed super poorly. They're getting pushed around on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that is a problem, because that's something you can't fix during the season. And the other thing is they lead the league in drops. They catch some of those balls. Maybe they're 2-1, or maybe even 3-0. The bottom line is they're a little bit of a funk, and people don't have a lot of answers around here, and everybody's kind of looking around like they're crazy. But I think they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's fair to bank on Trevor Lawrence, bank on that team, a proven head coach to figure it out. And we will see if they do. But the AFC South, so far, more competitive than I expected. I'm not calling them the worst division in football, Tony. So there you go. You could take that one, enjoy that. What we're going to do is we're going to dive into the rest of these divisions and jump to the NFC. But first, we have to get to the AFC West, which it's time to have an interesting conversation about the Kansas City Chiefs and company. We will do that coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you with players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. So let's see who we've picked out for this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. In Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua set the fantasy world on fire the first couple weeks of this season. He had 10 receptions in his debut for 119 yards, following that up with 15 receptions for 147 yards. And yes, he was bottled up in week 3 by the Cincinnati Bengals, held to just 5 catches. But this week at Indianapolis, against a Colts defense allowing the 8th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this season, Puka Nacua is certainly someone that you want in your fantasy lineups. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is all about each player being a perfect fit. The same for your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. From brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. And plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Whether you're driving a convertible like Travis Kelce and you got Taylor Swift in the passenger seat, or you're driving a Mercedes-Benz like my man Tony Wiggins, eBay Motors has you covered. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
All right, running along here on Locked On NFL on a big old Wednesday with James Rapien and Tony Wiggins. We talked about division leaders in the AFC, the ones that we're buying, and what about the NFC? I'm going to get started with the NFC West. Can I do that?
Yeah, let's do it. AFC West.
We got to do the AFC West.
AFC West. Yeah, AFC West.
We're
and
talking
then
about
we can go to the NFC West. We got one more in the AFC.
The Chiefs are going to win the AFC West. That's it. Period, point blank, end of discussion. They're going to win it. They're not, right. They're not even looking like the world beater Chiefs, but we know they will when it's time to look that way. And then your girl Taylor Swift. Did you feel some kind of way now? Because I know you love you some Taylor Swift. You ain't feeling kind of way with Taylor Swift all up in the booth now, did you?
Man, see, why are people? You're not the first person to ask me this.
I'm just saying, I know you're a big Taylor. Okay,
we know she's dated people before, right? Half of her songs are about
so this ain't even about her dating. This not about her dating. This is about someone you love in another genre, seemingly just being like overused to sell another thing that you happen to love. I'm just talking about the purity of the artist, because sometimes people don't like their people going all mainstream like that and getting used for something else. Because I'm sure you like her because her music is wonderful, correct?
Correct.
So we don't want people to trivialize that great music that you listen to while you're riding around in your car or doing all those push-ups that you do. We're just sitting here. I'm just asking you a legit question, and you getting all offended. So I'm just sitting there like, maybe there is something more to this than you gonna square up on Kelce?
He doesn't want those problems.
Okay,
so those but in all
newsflash, this is what I do. This is what I've done for 30 years in the barbershop. By the way,
Travis is my guy.
I take one little bit of information in.
Yep, Travis is my guy. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's a Bearcat, University of Cincinnati, Ohio native. So go Travis. That said, I still don't fully buy it. Maybe I'm crazy. All I know is his Q rating is skyrocketing because he's hanging out with Taylor Swift. So we'll see. We'll see.
I knew there was some trepidation. That's why I asked it.
I just think it's interesting. I don't know. Taylor Swift is such a mega star. What player in the league is on her level? There's not one.
See, that's
Is there?
but see, this is the hard hitting stuff that we do, and this is what I tried to pull from you. I wanted you to give me that assessment.
Who is Pat Mahomes? No. Tom Brady if he came back? No. Odell Beckham Jr.? No. Those are the three biggest stars.
I got my man James going off about Taylor. That's what I wanted.
I'm still waiting for Trevor Lawrence. Never. Well, what do we do? Joe Burrow? No.
She's
Jamar
huge, man.
Chase? No.
She's huge.
There are like
large.
10 people on the planet like that are her level of fame. Like it's very exclusive. So good for Travis. I'm dead serious. I have no idea what she,
right.
All right. Anyways, yeah, the Chiefs are going to win that division. Let's go to the NFC West now. And you mentioned the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks are right behind them at 2-1. I just think the San Francisco 49ers are on another level.
Heads and shoulders on another level. A whole different animal, bro. A whole different animal.
This is what I'm talking about Taylor and Travis. Keep going.
Yeah, the 49ers, they greased up, man. They playing like it's week 17. They are ready to go. They seem like a team that really does. You know what? They really do believe they would have beat Philly last year if Purdy wasn't hurt. I can tell the way they're playing. They're like, nah, we dead serious. We would have whooped y'all if our quarterback wouldn't have got hurt. And they are playing like that now. Hopefully they stay healthy because we've seen in the past, it was the quarterback, it was Debo, it was Trent Williams. Guys got banged up. I want to see them healthy all year. I think they have a very, very good team, and I think they're heads and shoulders above not only the rest of that division, but I think they're a little bit head and shoulders above Philly, who is the second best team in the NFC.
Yeah. As of right now, I think you're right. That roster, that talent, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in football because he fits perfect. He can catch out of the backfield, just makes game-changing plays. They didn't have Brandon Ayuk last week, and it didn't matter. Like it didn't even feel it, which is pretty wild to say.
Yeah.
All right, so we agree on the NFC West. Let's go to the NFC South. A lot of people had pegged this as the worst division in football. 3 2-1 teams. All 4 teams lost this week. Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa all tied at 2-1. The Panthers 0-3 on the season. The Panthers are awful, and they may be the worst team in the NFL, and certainly are playing like it at this point. To me, I still think the Saints are the best team in this division, but with Derek Carr's injury, it opens the door. And you know what I actually find myself wondering right now?
What's that?
And this is going to be Bearcat on Bearcat crime. I don't know why in the heck the Falcons did not get Lamar Jackson this offseason. They would be better than the Saints. They would be way better. They would be better than the Bucks. They would be clearly the favorites in this division. He was available. He would fit their offense. And they stuck with my guy, Des Ridder, who I hope figures it out. But it's been a rocky start, even though they're 2-1.
Yeah. I think that they felt that they had so much success with their drafts. And Terry Fontenot was like, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to pay him all that money and give up the compensation. Teams, when they have some success doing it that way and walking it a little bit slow, it's hard to change their mind, James, and make them just abandon that. And because I don't think anybody thought Lamar Jackson was actually going to be available. So now you're coming to them and saying, look, he's available. What do? You don't just scrap everything that you've already done. So I can understand it, but then I agree.
Speak for yourself, Tony Wiggins.
I agree with you. Let me tell you about a team that you told me about in the South. Tampa's better than I thought.
Yeah.
I said Tampa had the worst roster in it. I was wrong. Tampa is a scrappy team. They play really good defense. And that was a very entertaining game they had last night with Philadelphia. So, or Monday night. So my thing is that division is not the worst in the league, even though I thought it was. But I still think the Saints are the class because of the defense.
We have a couple of divisions left. We also have to get to some contenders or pretenders. We will do all of that coming up next right here on Locked On NFL.
I have to let you know about today's sponsor, which is Jase Medical. That's right. Jase Medical has what they call a Jase case. And what that is provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jase case is fill out a simple online form, and in some cases, jump on a quick call with one of our board-certified physicians. Get ongoing care from our physicians on any treatment related to questions. Doctor created, doctor recommended. You just don't want to be caught unprepared, whether you're traveling or whether one of these storms turns into something bigger and you don't have access to what you need. All you got to do, man, is go to get $20 off on those life-saving antibiotics today from Jase Medical. All you got to do is use the code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Everybody should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. And that's what Jase Medical offers with the Jase case. $20 off. Promo code locked on at checkout at jasemedical.com.
All right, Tony, let's keep things rolling here with the NFC North. The Green Bay Packers at the top, followed by the Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, and Chicago Bears. You were on this, I believe. You had the Packers winning the division. Am I wrong about that?
I absolutely did.
Yeah, you were on this. I buy it. I think they're going to win the division. I really do. I think Jordan Love is playing well. I think he's comfortable. They were resilient the other day after being down to the Saints, and I think that's a good Saints defense. They did enough. They were able to get the 2-point conversion to really put pressure on the Saints, and I get it. Derek Carr went out. I'm not even sure they're better than the Saints, but I do think that they're good enough to win this division. The Vikings, what a disappointment. The biggest disappointment in the league. And I know they could have won multiple games. Instead, they're 0-3, though, and they're like the best 0-3 team, which is the exact opposite of where you want to be. That's not a good spot.
Yeah, they're too good to be terrible, but they're too terrible to not be good enough to get into the playoffs. And that's a dangerous, dangerous place. They look so 6-11-ish. Mm-hmm. And this is not a good place to be because 6-11 doesn't get you the top quarterback in the draft or the second best quarterback in the draft. And they're one of those teams, unfortunately, it doesn't work like this, but they need to either decide whether they're going to be really bad or just kind of bad. Yeah. I would expect that with another loss that they be one of those teams that's trying to sell off some parts, save some money for this year, get some assets so that they can move on. I don't think they're going to re-up Kirk Cousins next year. Daniil Hunter's a real good player who I think he's second in the league in sacks right now with 5. There's somebody out there, hello Jacksonville, that could use.
I was about to say, I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to get them to have a yard sale so Trent Baalke can drive his Sanford and Son truck by there and grab a few things. You know what I'm saying?
The Jets want some Kirk.
Hey, if they can make it happen, I ain't never seen a team pay 2 quarterbacks $37 million a year. But if that can happen, go ahead and make that happen too. But yeah, they're in a real bad spot. And I don't even want to talk about the Chicago Bears. Ooh, you want to talk about ugly? It's ugly.
It's ugly. It's about as ugly as it can get. One more.
I'll never understand Matt Eberflus. Let me say this: being a linebackers coach by trade, not wanting the kid that's in Baltimore right now, but wanting Tremaine Edmonds.
Oh, Roquan Smith, and then
yeah, I'll never understand a guy who got his chops teaching that position to want to make that swap. I don't get it.
Yeah, you get worse, and you're spending big money anyways. It's dumb. Dumb. I get trading Smith. Don't understand, because they're rebuilding. Don't understand the Edmonds point at all. The NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys losing. That was a shocker to the Cardinals. Shout out to the Cardinals for a heck of a win. They dominated that game, controlled it throughout. The Eagles, though, ahead in the NFC East. I buy it. I think they're the best team in this division. The Cowboys, I think a couple of things. The Diggs injury certainly hurts them. I think they believe they were going to just roll over Arizona, and man, who took the bus? Do you have a fire in your gut? Well, Gannon has a fire in the Cardinals got at least enough to get a win over the Cowboys. I think that this is exactly how the division will finish. Maybe the Giants leapfrog the Commanders, but I think the Eagles and Cowboys will finish 1 and 2.
I think the same thing, and I'm thinking that the Giants are one of those teams that are sort of like the Jaguars, and not quite like the Bengals, because like I said, the Bengals have done this year after year now. I think they're one of those teams that they ain't looking quite like they thought they would, and they're trying to go back to look in that mirror to make sure their face looks like they think it looks, because they are not playing the way that we all anticipated they would play based on the way they ended last year. And Daniel Jones looks like the guy that everybody thought shouldn't get money before he got money. So I am going with the Eagles, with the Cowboys, second to them. And I'm still wondering who's going to show up every week when the Cowboys play. Because if they show up to be that representative that we saw the first 3 weeks, they're as good as anybody. But this week they lost to Arizona, and that's the team that everybody thought was the worst in the league, including me. And they beat Dallas. And that game wasn't fluky. They whooped them. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But right now, it's all about the 49ers and the Eagles. And then I would say the Dolphins and the Chiefs.
49ers, Eagles, Dolphins, Chiefs. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair overall. It's early on. I do buy some of these teams. Like I think Green Bay, we could be talking about them a few weeks from now as being a legitimate threat in the NFC. But if they stay healthy, the 49ers and the Dolphins are going to be right there. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from the first 3 weeks is they are legit talent-wise. I think we knew that about the 49ers. Dolphins, you wanted to see it. There was questions about Tua. As long as he stays healthy, they will be right there. So, Tone, 3 weeks down, 14 to go in the regular season, 15 to go in the regular season. Plenty to get to. And we're going to have you covered every step of the way here on Locked On NFL. And so, Tone, I know you have one more thing here before we get out.
One more quick thing just for housekeeping. I won't be here next week. I will be 1 day out from hip replacement surgery. So 9 times out of 10, James will have another host. I want y'all to know, though, I'll be back a week after that, bigger and better than ever, like the $6 million man.
Let's go. All right. See, that's breaking news to me, too. All right. Well, I hope surgery goes well, and we'll see you in 2 weeks when maybe your Jags bounce back and get a couple of wins. And we will be covering it all wall to wall right here on Locked On NFL. So for Tony Wiggins, I'm James Rapien. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. Locked On NFL.